So dear students, in this video we'll be studying about Ethereum architecture. So here, as you can see, it is a high level view of Ethereum architecture. So the Ethereum client, every Ethereum node runs an Ethereum virtual machine, and all the smart contract run within this virtual machine, and the client can connect to this. The Ethereum client application can connect through the Ethereum client using a SDK. There is a Web3j SDK for it. The transactions have a particular format, of course, and it has two addresses. Who are you transacting this with? So this is just like Bitcoin. It is a particular recipient is mentioned. There is a data pertaining to a smart contract that also mentioned there. What is the value of Ether, and you are going to transfer it to the recipient. So there is a nonce and there is a notion of gas, and of course there is a signature by the transactor. So the user who is sending this transaction is going to sign the transaction and send it to the blockchain. So digital signature concept is still used here. So here you have to note that the Ethereum actually does have two functions. It is actually going to transfer the value or Ether in some sense, and it is also going to execute. So it can also execute a smart contract function, and that smart contract can hold the data on blockchain. And there is a Ethereum network of many such nodes, all interacting with each other, and these nodes are the one which run the consensus and determine that what block of transaction should be added next to the blockchain. So just like our consensus mechanism. And then this consensus is through proof of work, similar to how the Bitcoin is using. And there are alternatives which are being considered as well. But for now a proof of work is used. And then there is also proof of stake algorithm that is going to be used in Ethereum. So these days it has come and Ethereum is now using it. The Casper release of Ethereum is now running proof of stake algorithm. So when a node receives a block, what the client with Ethereum client will actually do is it's going to execute all transactions in the block in sequence, and it will then update it in a ledger. So once the block once it knows that the block has been added, it is possible that because it's getting this block from multiple people, and redundant executions are always possible. Now let us look at some important concepts in Ethereum. So the underlying database which is used in Ethereum is called as LevelDB. So it just has a basic key value store which is available to smart contract to store a state information, and the contract bytecode is also stored on chain. So both the list of blocks and the state data is stored on a blockchain. So what are the accounts of what is gas, and the notion of transaction in Ethereum we are going to study here. So Ethereum really has two kind of account. One is called as an externally controlled account, and the other one is called as a contract account. So we are going to study about the types of account in more detail in the further slide. So I can have a walleted account and have a certain balance in that account. So balance can be in terms of Ether, and Ether balance is held in the externally controlled account. So it is possible to transfer the Ether from one externally controlled account to the another externally controlled account. So this transaction is very much just identical to what the Bitcoin transaction does. So the other kind of account that we have in Ethereum is called as a contract account. So this account is specifically used for smart contracts. So every smart contract will have a contract account, and it will have an address which is very similar looking address to an externally controlled account. So both of them have address, but the contract account specifically refer to the smart contract, and it does not refer to a particular individual. So it is contract account is basically for the smart contract, whereas the externally controlled account is for every individual user. So whenever the wallet would be created, this externally controlled account would be created. So I can transfer some ether from one account to another. I can also invoke a particular smart contract which is specified at particular address, and that smart contract will of course run a particular function which is defined in the smart contract, and that function can update the state information on the blockchain. So that is the difference from Bitcoin to Ethereum, where it is just not Bitcoins being transferred from person A to person B. In addition, here we can have a smart contract function that operates on arbitrary state information, and the state information is basically a key value store. So you can define your own key and have value for those, and apart from invoking one contract, these contract can also invoke the other contracts. So one contract can call another contract, and again there can be transfer of balance between the contracts. It's also possible. Now all of this invocation of transaction or invocation of smart contract functions actually requires a transaction cost, and this is to ensure that people are not randomly spamming the network with invalid or wrong transactions. So to prevent that, Ethereum has a concept of gas. So for each transaction you will have to spend some gas. So this is the fuel for transaction. So unless you pay in terms of this gas price, unless you pay for a particular transaction, you cannot execute the transaction. So each transaction is also going to have a particular gas price. Now let us look into the types of Ethereum account. So an Ethereum account is similar to your bank account, but for it is basically used for ethers. So where ethers can be held in an account and which is transferred to other account, and it can also be used to execute the smart contract. An Ethereum account is an entity that is composed of Ethereum address and the private key. So every Ethereum account is having two entities like address and a private key. So the public key, the address is the first 20 bytes of SHA-3 hash public key in Ethereum is the Ethereum address. Okay. So let us look at the types of Ethereum account, which is important to understand here. So the first is the externally owned account. So this is the most basic type of Ethereum account. It functions similar to the Bitcoin account, and a private key controls the Ethereum address of externally owned account. A person can open as many externally owned account as required, and it is created whenever a wallet is created, and it is made with a private key that is required to access the externally owned account for check balance, send and receive transaction, and establish the smart contracts. So there are few advantages of this externally owned account, like the transactions from an external account to a contract account can trigger the code that can execute many different actions such as transferring token or even creating a new contract. The another advantage is that externally owned account cannot list the incoming transactions. Then let us look at the another type of Ethereum account, which is called as the contract account. So this contract account can perform all of the functions of externally owned account, but unlike the externally owned account, they are formed when a contract code is deployed. So whenever a smart contract is deployed, this particular account is created, and they are governed by a contract codes, and they are accessed using a unique address. So when one party accepts a contract, a unique account is formed which contain all of the charges which are associated with that contract. So each contract is granted a distinct serial number, that is a unique serial number, which is referred to as the contract account. So the few advantages of the contract account is a contract account can list incoming transactions. It can be set up as a multi-sign accounts. A multi-sign accounts can be structured such that it has a daily limit that you specify, and only if the daily limit is exceeded will multiple signatures are being required. Then the disadvantages of contract account is that creating contract account, it actually costs gas because they use the valuable computation and storage resources of the network, and contract account can initiate new transactions on their own. Instead, contract account can only fire transactions in response to other transactions that have received either from an externally owned account or from the another contract account. So let us understand the difference between the externally owned account and a contract account. So externally owned account is controlled by humans, whereas the contract accounts are basically related with the smart contracts and generated whenever the smart contract is created. And externally owned accounts are created automatically. Then the private key is needed to access the externally owned account, whereas to access the contract account no key is needed. Then these externally owned accounts are created automatically on creating a wallet. So whenever you create, suppose one person has created n number of wallets and n number of accounts, then every time the externally owned account would be created, whereas the contract accounts require externally owned accounts to be activated. Then externally owned account do not have their own associated code, whereas the contract accounts have their own associated code. In externally owned account, no execution fee is associated with these type of account, whereas contract account is having some execution fees associated with it. Externally owned account code hash is an empty string, whereas here in contract account code hash represents the code which is associated with the account. So basically, student, here it is very important to understand the difference between externally owned account and contract account.